Hey everyone, and welcome back to Exposing SMG. Today we are going to recap episode 2 of Harry and Meghan's Netflix soap opera and expose their lies. Check out my episode 1 recap if you haven't already. Before we start, make sure to like and subscribe for more of these videos. Let me know if you guys enjoy these type of videos. Now, Meghan's self-grandeur in this episode was going to kill me, but without further ado, here's the recap of episode 2. This episode focuses heavily on the paparazzi, the media, Meghan growing up, the media being racist to Meghan, the paparazzi stalking Meghan in Toronto while filming Suits, Meghan being perfect, William and Catherine being formal toward Meghan, Meghan mocking the late Queen, Harry and Meghan comparing their story as royals to Brexit and immigration. Do you guys now see why it was hard to get through? It opens up with this scene of Harry and Meghan leaving a parking garage in New York City, and them being so paranoid and scared of the paparazzi on this so-called scooter who's supposedly following them. Mind you, they are in a big van with tinted windows, in the middle of New York traffic, being scared of this paparazzi on a scooter that they never show. Instead, they show this poor person on a city bike, which is what all New Yorkers use. And I guess trying to imply that a local was following them? I don't know. There's also a voiceover of someone saying that people in paparazzi are camped out and waiting for them, followed by absolutely no proof. In one of my latest videos, I talked a lot about staged paparazzi and fake paparazzi photos they have used, and I will continue to talk about it, especially with Meghan's fake staged paparazzi photos that they showed a lot in this episode toward the end of the video. Again, I have video chapters if you guys want to skim through. Also, Meghan's soft-spoken voice could literally kill me. It's so fake and scripted, and she makes Harry so paranoid. Watching this scene, you can see the toxicity. She starts the whole deranged scene when she comes in the car and says, "Do we have that pap on the scooter again?" And what a coincidence for them it is to start recording in the car with this magical invisible paparazzi supposedly following them around. To aid in Harry's paranoia, she says to him, "There were guys in the basement too recording during our walk, just so you're aware." Which makes Harry go into this spiral and paranoia about his mother again, and he starts talking about Diana, which we discussed in episode 1, how the past that Harry, Diana, Catherine, and so on went through isn't the same thing that happens nowadays. Meghan then starts looking around her and is so alarmed. Mind you guys, they are sitting in New York traffic. Meghan continues saying, "Safety first, we'll just get out," and Harry's like, "We'll be with our friends in 10 minutes. And as a viewer, I feel gaslit because nothing is happening. They are not being followed. They have these studio cameras in the car, yet can't show us who's following them. It's ridiculous. Now, Meghan's mother, Doria, is featured in this episode. Her interview starts off with, "The last 5 years have been challenging," and that she's ready to have her voice heard. Doria then tells us that Meghan first told her, "Mommy, I'm going out with Prince Harry." And something that I found interesting was how Meghan claimed that she didn't know who Harry was and that he comes from the royal family and she didn't know all the things that come with him. But in episode 1 and here, we see that she was showing off to friends and family and everyone is like, "I can't believe you're dating a prince." So it kind of disputes the oblivious argument that she had. Now, I am going to talk more about Doria and Meghan's relationship later on in the video toward the lies portion, because their relationship also seems to be benefiting from this PR Band-Aid episode. They focus a lot on how Doria is darker-skinned and Meghan is fair-skinned, and one time in a parking lot, Doria got called the N-word. Meghan then said that Doria's knuckles turned white as they gripped the steering wheel, they had a silent drive home, and never talked about it again. Meghan says that she never had the minority talk or talk about racism until she faced racism from the UK media. She said that she was never treated like a black woman, and Doria said that she wished she can go back in time to have the race talk with Meghan. Meghan also says that she genuinely didn't think about it being racism, and it never crossed her mind because according to her, she's never faced racism because she's a white passing woman, which defeats the entire argument that people hate her because she's black. Her agent literally says in the episode, "I didn't know she was biracial. I thought she was a sun-kissed Cali girl." Doria then says, "This is about race." And when she told Meghan that, Meghan said, "Mommy, I don't want to hear that." Why, Mrs. Activist? You didn't know that racism exists? You didn't care to know about it until it affected you? She was 35 years old when she started dating Harry. At her grown age, she didn't know about racism? Meghan later says, "People don't talk about what it's like to be mixed race." Girl, your mother got called the N-word and you never talked about it. And now you want to talk about people now talking about you being mixed race when you never talked about it? Do you guys see the issue here? I found this entire scene incredibly problematic because it's basically a huge, I didn't care until it affected me personally. You don't have to deal with racism to know that it's a prevalent thing that happens, and it's your duty, especially if you are in a position of privilege, to speak up about it. I've used my platform to talk about racial injustice over the past couple of years, and the fact that Meghan's on candid camera saying that it never occurred to her until she started dating Harry, even though she firsthand saw her mother experience racism, just speaks on Meghan's character. Considering the entire episode, they're trying to brand her as an activist. It's very privileged. It's very much, I didn't care until it happened to me. And the fact that as a white passing biracial woman, she's getting awarded for her work on racial injustice, when I can list 5 musicians who have done more and said more for the Black community than Meghan, is very problematic. To this day, she doesn't use her platform to talk about how colorism is an issue and how darker-skinned people will probably face more racism than lighter-skinned ones. No, it's all about what happened to Meghan, who is a white passing woman and has identified as white in the past. Harry then says that he didn't understand the privilege of living in bliss while someone like Meghan struggled. Meghan didn't struggle. Meghan says in the episode she didn't know what it's like to be treated like a Black woman and didn't care to address what her mom went through until she faced racism. And what a white passing mixed woman faces is nothing like what a darker skinned woman would face. I wouldn't have a problem with her if she advocated for the Black community. Instead, she name-dropped George Floyd in her NAACP speech, which they showed in the episode, yet hasn't done anything for the cause. And worst of all, cosplays as an activist when she does absolutely nothing. They then focus on the UK media's racial undertone when talking about Meghan, with headlines saying Harry's new girlfriend is straight out of Compton, and articles using racially motivated wording. And listen, racism is completely unacceptable, and those types of racially motivated articles should have never been written. What they thought was a play on words because of the movie Straight Outta Compton is very problematic. And the one good thing that comes out of Meghan and Harry's drama is that journalists will work overtime to make sure they don't say anything that has a racial undertone. And that in itself was educating the masses, and a good thing regardless of Meghan's privilege. Now, Meghan and her mother kept emphasizing that the media kept talking about where they lived and the crime rates in that neighborhood, Crenshaw, and how that was racist. And honestly, I think that was a little bit of a reach because, like I said, I cover celebrities in pop culture, and when a new star comes on the scene, the media likes to dig into their old life and talk about their upbringing. And if they grew up poor, that was a plus because people will sympathize. Many celebrities lie about being poor. I'm not saying it's the case here. And you don't get whiter than Justin Bieber, who grew up in Canada, and both he and the media focus on his upbringing coming from a low-income family and busking in the streets. It's normal to talk about the statistics of the neighborhood, and I think that Meghan was insecure that her family and her upbringing wasn't as lavish as Harry's. Her family even says in Tom Bower's book that she was ashamed to come from a white working middle-class family. And it's normal to be insecure of that because at the end of the day, we're all human. But again, to turn it into a racially motivated thing just because you're insecure is annoying and privileged. The media was focusing on her white side of the family and calling them deadbeats, more than her Black side of the family. Did she face racism? Sure, yes, but it wasn't to the extent that she's trying to make it seem. She herself says that she didn't know what it's like to be treated as a Black woman. And 8 days after their dating announcement, Harry put out an official statement condemning the press for their sexist and racial remarks, and that alone made everyone double think about what to say. But here's the point. The media was exposing Meghan for her lies, her agenda, and just inconsistencies in general. And that, my dears, is not racism. UK media, not UK media. I've covered British celebrities before, I've covered Little Mix, One Direction, the majority of those groups being predominantly white, and they all get the same treatment from the Daily Mail. Harry said that his family told him not to say anything because they believed that everything Meghan was being put through was something that they also went through, to which Harry says it's almost like a rite of passage for the woman marrying into the family, which again defeats their argument that the media backlash was all about racism, considering Diana and Catherine went through the tabloids digging into their life as well. And I think because Meghan has a lot to hide, you know, her Diana obsession, her planned paparazzi attempts, she doesn't want anyone to dig into her life and expose her. Harry says that his family told him, my wife had to go through that, so why should your girlfriend be treated any differently? Which honestly is true. I would tell them the same thing. If the palace spoke up and tried to censor the press in this modern day time and age, everyone would be like, what are you trying to hide? It's not the palace's job to censor the press, and the more you try to censor the press, the more the press is going to dig into your life because you make it seem like you have something to hide, which Meghan apparently does. Harry's family said, why would you get special treatment? To which Harry's like, well, it's the race element. Meghan has Harry believing that everything said about her is racist. Because do you know what's being said about her? Her childhood obsession with Diana, her past history of being well aware of who the royal family is, her planned paparazzi shots.
Has Meghan tipped off photographers since she's been with Harry?
I'm gonna have to say no comment.
Yeah.
No comment? Well, that's not a no.
I'm just gonna have to say no comment.
Gotcha.
That's actually really interesting. All right. I'm going to say that says a lot.
Her dating Harry while living with her ex Corey. I think she's trying to prove herself to him, and in order to do that, she has to discredit the press and make Harry more paranoid. Which is funny because when the news broke and they were dating, Harry literally says in the episode, "There were things that were said and written that I had to go to her to ask." So of course, when she's being exposed on a massive scale, she's gonna be worried that he's gonna believe what's being said. And how does she combat that? Discredit the press. Throughout the episode, they keep telling us that when they started dating, it was very hush-hush at the beginning, which is a complete lie since we know that Meghan leaked stories to the press, and the paparazzi that took the famous Meghan and Harry shots said that it was all staged. And she was doing things on purpose to get attention, such as the matching bracelets, which they show us in this episode. And I talked about that in my last video, so go check it out. They then showed us Harry and Meghan getting ready for the NAACP awards, and Meghan says to Harry, "Are you nervous?" And Harry's like, "Yes." And Meghan's like, "Just go with the flow." And I just found that dynamic kind of funny because they're getting on stage to present to a TV screen, not a live audience, and she keeps Harry very insecure and small, as if he didn't grow up attending royal engagements and communicating with huge crowds of people. I think she makes him insecure so she can control him around like a puppet. What do you think? They also tell us that Harry and Meghan bonded a lot over being children of divorce, and then Meghan proceeded to recite this poem that she wrote when she was 12, and she recited it word for word, like not one stutter, and acted like she didn't practice it. It was so funny. Like, no way you remembered a poem from when you were 12, but not an interview from when they asked you, William or Harry? During the race part of the episode, they showed this clip from a talk show making a joke about the Queen spitting out her drink when Harry told her he was dating someone who's mixed race. And using this clip is definitely Meghan and Harry trying to stir the pot. Because now, they're on candid camera saying that his family found her lovely, and their only issue was that she was an American actress, and that's why their relationship would not last. Harry literally said that when his family first met her, they were very impressed, but they were worried about her being an American actress more than anything else. Why? Thirsty Hollywood celebrities don't often have a good reputation with anything deemed elegant, such as royalty. It's well known what Hollywood American celebrities do. Anything for drama, leaked stories, reality TV show, need for attention, planned paparazzi shots, all things Meghan did, so their fears were indeed correct. Meghan then chimed in and said, "The actress thing was the biggest part, funny enough." It's like she loves provoking the race card. She's basically saying, shockingly they didn't have an issue with my background. Like, do you want the drama or not? She wants to complain about everything. This is what it looks like when someone is living in a victim mentality. Also, notice how they're slowly backtracking from their claims on Oprah. Now it's not the royal family being racist, but it's the media. And them including that talk show bit making a joke about the Queen being racist when she showed nothing but warmth and love to Meghan, her own words, shows you how much drama they want. Also, Charles broke protocol when he walked her down the aisle because her father didn't, and that's a big deal. If they hated her and didn't accept her because she's supposedly black, he wouldn't have walked her down the aisle. But instead, he did, and gave the public the image that he's treating her as if she's his own daughter because her father wasn't there. And everyone was rooting for Meghan at the time. That's what people are missing. It wasn't racism. The public loved her, and the episode shows that the UK media and British people talked about her with such love. It was only when she started getting exposed for her true colors that she wanted to discredit the media and use race as an excuse for her criticism. She also married into an institution and refused to do anything out of respect for her role as a royal, which is why she was always breaking royal protocol. She claims in the episode that she tried so hard to make people like her, but in reality she was provoking the criticism. I think she got off on it. She would do things that went against the values and traditions of the institution that she married into. So don't tell me she tried to work with them or respect their traditions or rules. Oh no, she wanted a 1,000-year-old monarchy to bend the rules for a D-list American actress. Mind you, all this drama happened and she only worked as a senior royal for 72 days. Yes, 72 days. Now let's talk about her mocking the curtsy. Meghan tells this curtsy story all the time and said it on Oprah, even in Finding Freedom. And Harry once again said that She had no idea what royal life was like. It was a shock to her system. And listen, we've already exposed how Meghan wrote about being a princess, how her friends curtsied to her as a child when she pretended to be a queen and wore a crown, how she had a fascination with Diana growing up. She even watched the Princess Diaries, which they show curtsying, so I don't know why she's pretending to be confused. She then says that she thought the curtsy was a joke, and Harry, who has no backbone, is like, how do you explain that to people? Simple. You say my grandmother is the Queen of the UK. It's not that hard to grasp. Meghan then says at that moment, she started to realize it was a big deal, and that Americans will understand this, and compares the royal family to medieval times, then starts with the dramatic mock curtsy that she supposedly did for the Queen. The whole time there's quirky music playing because she's just a quirky Megs. I'm American. Pretty sure any 8-year-old who took social studies in school knows what a monarchy is, so either Meghan is insanely stupid and uneducated or she's a liar. Which one is it? Because the entire episode she emphasizes that she's the smart girl. She literally says, this is an important part that people don't understand about me. I grew up as a nerd, not being pretty. And she also says that on her podcast, which I covered, so if you want to watch that.
Okay, well, I'm not the pretty one. I was like, I was the smart one. I'm the smart one. I'm the smart one.
But Meghan, sweetheart, if you're a nerd, I'm sure you would know what a monarchy is and how many of those exist today. The British royal family isn't the only monarchy, and curtsying is a form of respect for the senior royals. And now that no one's going to curtsy to her anymore, suddenly she has a problem mocking it, but she surely didn't mind when people would curtsy to her. Do you know what else she didn't mind? The royal budget, the lavish vacations, all the money she spent on clothes, which was a hell of a lot more than the Queen spent and more than what Catherine, the Princess of Wales, would spend. So it's funny how she didn't understand that part of the royal life, but she surely understood the money part and the lavish lifestyle part. Give me a break. The entire episode, they try to make it seem like Meghan was this well-accomplished actress and philanthropist who had so much going on for her until she dropped her whole world for this prince who she didn't know anything about. And it's a bunch of lies. Suits was on its last legs by season 4 with the viewership dropping drastically, like most cable TV shows, and the media kept referencing her as a mystery woman. She also tried to pretend that the fact that she didn't get any roles was because she was biracial, saying that all she heard at auditions were no, and she said, "What's wrong with me? I'm not good enough?" You're just not a good actress, dear. Again, I cover Hollywood celebrities. It's hard to break down the acting world more than it is with the music world. They also talked about how she carved her role in the world before she met Harry. Carved her role to whom? 15 people? They talk a lot about her charity work, which I can list on one hand. The 2015 Women's UN speech, which she plagiarized from Eleanor Roosevelt. Visiting Rwanda for the Clean Water campaign in 2016. And what they failed to mention is that she flew to Rwanda first class, was accompanied by a fashion photographer, Gabor Jarina, and had her own hair and makeup artist. Yeah, she brought a glam team to a charity event. Brenda Surminski, a producer who had been due to film the trip but could no longer travel to Rwanda, had a Canadian cameraman join the group instead. And Tom Bauer wrote that after filming with the children playing with the water tap, Meghan disappeared with the photographer to take photographs with some of the youngsters, leaving the producer, Brenda, puzzled and saying that celebrities using a desolate African village as the backdrop for a fashion shoot was mind-blowing. Also, she keeps trying to compare her 3 stints of charity to Harry's years of philanthropy work and service. And no one is talking about how Meghan only branded herself as a philanthropist after meeting Harry. Meghan then says that she didn't want an Oscar, she just wanted to go and volunteer. Oh lord, I have to hold back the tears from laughter. Like I said, this episode was one big PR band-aid for her to prove that she didn't leave the royal family to pursue her dying actor career. When she says that line, she literally looks away from the camera because she's lying. She can't even look the camera lens in the eye. Harry is on camera trying to pitch Meghan for a movie role, and when she stepped down from her royal duties, she did voiceover work for Disney, but no one enjoys her work, so she wasn't hired for anything else. Which is why she started her own production company, because no one was hiring her. These are all facts. Quirky Megs told a story of the time that she had William and Catherine over for dinner for the first time, and being the quirky gal she is, she was barefoot and in ripped jeans, and she's such a hugger, which she claims was jarring for the Brits. And she says that William and Catherine were very formal behind closed doors, the way they were formal in public, and that left her very surprised. Now here's what I don't like. I don't like how she's trying to paint them as cold while Meghan is so welcoming and full of love, because inviting anyone over for dinner for the first time is going to be awkward. And if you're hosting a dinner party, I don't really expect my first time at someone's house, them being barefoot and in ripped jeans. I don't personally do that with my friends, so I can't imagine how Meghan had the audacity to host the literal future king and queen of the UK. And what, did her quirky self serve them frozen pasta that she heated in the microwave? Because she's so casual and so American? As an American, I see right through her BS. Being an American doesn't mean you have to be low maintenance. And it's funny how she cries about privacy, yet the entire time, she's invading the privacy of everyone else's lives. Talking about William and Kate, yet not once have they ever mentioned her, to be quite frank. Not once have the royal family mentioned her, except for that one time when King Charles says that he sends Harry and Meghan love and best wishes for them overseas. They also ended the episode by them comparing Brexit and the immigration crisis to them. Harry had the audacity to be like, the time we were dating and the news of Brexit and immigration was happening at the same time. I have no words. How tone deaf do you have to be? And now they're claiming that a royal like Meghan was oppressed and what she was going through is similar to what immigrants go through? By the way, America has a big immigration issue too, so I don't know why she's acting like the UK is this racist cesspool out to get her. It's disgusting and tone deaf. She kept emphasizing that she kept believing what she was told, that it will get better after she gets married, and it was just hard at the beginning, but no matter how hard she tried, how good she was, what she did, they were gonna find a way to destroy her. Girl, grow the f up. She's so tone deaf, I'm gonna vomit from the victim narrative and the oppression Olympics. Anyway, here are 3 lies they said in episode 2. Lie number 1, implying that Meghan was raised by her mother. And when they visited her old school, Doria says there was a nice network of women who helped raise Meghan. But from the age of 9 to college, Meghan lived with her father full-time. He paid for her private school and college despite her lying, saying that she put herself through college. In an effort to make it seem like Doria was present in the picture, she says that her parents co-parented well. You mean only Thomas parented? Because she even says it herself, she was a daddy's girl. They completely gloss over the fact that her father put her through school, and they don't seem to explain the gap where her mother was missing from her childhood for 10 years. She just dropped her father for staging paparazzi photos, something she has been doing since she came onto the scene. And I'll get into that right after this segment. Now, Thomas Markle said that Meghan only sent him occasional modest financial gifts after landing a role in the hit TV series Suits, even though he was still paying off her college debts. And in court documents where Meghan often gets exposed, there is proof that he paid for all her college tuition, and after she left Northwestern University, he continued to pay off her student loans, even after she landed a well-paid role in Suits. Also, he put her through the private schools that they show in the episode, but not once do they mention that. How convenient. And in the episode, she mentions graduating from Northwestern University, but not who paid for it. Thomas even sold his Facebook shares to fund her first wedding to Trevor Engelson, and not once did she help pay for his medical fees or anything of the sort. The documents also said that Meghan had done nothing to support her father since May 2017, a year before her wedding to Prince Harry. So she had already disowned her father before the wedding stuff and the paparazzi stuff, yet wants to give the viewers a biased picture that Doria raised her, and lead the viewer to believe that Thomas was a deadbeat. Why? So she can discredit his story. She does manage to talk about how he was the lighting director in Hollywood and he would bring her on set all the time, something she loved, and her friend talks about how much he did for the school Immaculate Heart High School where Meghan loved to perform in theater shows. So again, only when it was convenient for her resume is when she brings them up. Lie number 2, 2016 stage paparazzi shots and stalking. Again, I already made 2 videos about all the fake paparazzi shots, so go check those out. But in this episode, they focus a lot on the paparazzi supposedly following Meghan, especially in 2016 when she was filming in Toronto. First, she talks about those pictures of her at a flower shop, again where she claims that there were 9 or 10 guys following her. Meanwhile, Giselle, the paparazzi who took the photo, said there was only one other guy beside him and she knew she was being photographed and she loved it because she was wearing an H&M necklace, and he even says that she came up to talk to him after.
At the florist, she literally was there. She honestly facilitated. She posed up for us. She smiled at us, me and the other guy I was working with, and we got such a beautiful set of pictures. She talked to us, and at one point she was like, telling me, she's like, oh, where are you from? I was like, I'm from London. She's like, well, you need to stop.
So no, Meghan, you were not being hounded by 10 guys. She also didn't like how the UK media said that she couldn't stop smiling because I think adjectives are now considered racist. Hey Meghan, why don't you clock into a journalist shift since you got so many complaints? Here is the Daily Mail talking about how Harry couldn't stop smiling either. Are they being racist here too, or what? She also said that her house was surrounded by men sleeping in cars and watching her every move and surrounding her, yet can't provide proof of any of these people stalking her. And I talk a lot about paparazzi and celebrities on this channel, and it's well known that if you're being photographed in Canada, you definitely call the paparazzi, because Canada is known to be more private than New York or LA. For example, here is Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez on a private ranch in Canada. The photos were staged. I talked about that in 2014. Hailey Baldwin and Shawn Mendes, also staged. Barely anyone knew Meghan before the wedding, so how was she getting stalked more in 2016 Canada than she came to New York in 2019? or when she was out and about in the UK. All the photos show her alone, not one person in sight as if it's a planned photo shoot. Not even locals are around her taking photos on their phones. Now, I don't know if Meghan was implying that the UK paparazzi flew to Toronto or not, because I am telling you right now, paparazzi in Canada isn't a thing. No one chased them or hounded them in Canada, and it's why she chose to film there. All these photos they show of Meghan on the suit set or walking out of yoga were photos she staged herself and was exposed for. There is no one around her in the photos most of the time. I also think that she lied about the amount of stalking and paparazzi so NBC can hire a security guard for her because of her self-grandeur illness. The security dude who was supposedly hired specialized in getting away from paparazzi in car chases, yet not once do they show us this so-called paparazzi chasing her in a car. They also show us this photo of her being stalked in a parking garage, but this photo is a stock image from Alamy. Like, be for real. And if I had the patience, I'm sure all the other photos they used are stock images, which is on brand for them. She even went to the cops and said, 6 grown men are stalking me and sleeping in cars, you can't do anything? And claimed that the police told her they can't do anything for her because of whom she's dating. Oh really? Who believes that? She reported stalking to the police as a Hollywood actress and they didn't do anything for her because of her boyfriend? Like, you have to be kidding me. They didn't do anything because there was no proof of this make-believe stalking. She also claimed that people asked her if it was worth it dating Harry.
Sure, Jan.
Please, she's gaslighting her friends, her family, the viewers, Harry himself. Fake paparazzi and a fake story of being stalked, meanwhile there's no proof of anyone stalking her, and every photo she took was a typical staged paparazzi picture with no one in the shot and no paparazzi hounding her. And if there are these photos of her being stalked, why resort to stock images from Alamy? They also used these shots of her in London where she was shopping at Whole Foods a block down from Kensington Palace. Yeah, I would also shop for Whole Foods the week after my relationship is outed, while wearing his hat and walking around with a fat anti-poverty bag at the same time that William was hosting a huge benefit for a homeless charity. She also supposedly walked around the Daily Mail offices until she got photographed. She was desperately trying to let the whole world that she was staying in Kensington Palace, but tell me more about the dire need to go grocery shopping while staying at a palace. Come on, it's so obvious. She's trying to make it seem like she's more important than she actually was. Lie number 3, the proposal. During their official engagement interview, they said that Harry proposed to her in the kitchen when she was making roast beef, and she turned around and found him on one knee.
Here at our cottage, just a standard, typical night for us.
It's a cozy night. It was what we're doing, just roasting chicken and
Roasting
having
a chicken, trying to roast a chicken.
trying to roast a chicken, and it was just an amazing surprise. It was so sweet, and
I think I managed to catch her by surprise as well. So.
Yeah. And yet in this episode, they show him in the middle of a walled garden, and Meghan's on the phone with a friend recording, and she says, Jess, it's finally happening. And then they show us a picture of Harry on one knee in the garden with her dog. So it didn't happen in the kitchen? Also, who records a proposal? Lie number 4, no baby in the stroller? This is from episode 1 when they showed Meghan recording her and Harry on a walk and they show the stroller, but it's a clearly empty stroller and neither one of them is holding the baby. So why would you even put that in the documentary? Throughout this episode, we also see that Meghan's constantly recording and of course stacking her collection. Ah, what a long video. If you made it to the end, give yourself a great round of applause. I hope you guys enjoyed my recap of episode 2. Let me know if you guys enjoy these recaps and the lie compilations because you guys are the only ones who make it worth it. Like and subscribe for more content, share this video if you enjoyed it, follow us on our social media, and as always, I'll see you next time.